Hello everyone. Today we'll be reviewing the audiobook The Crash by thriller queen Freida McFadden. The Crash, like her other books, has a plot that constantly throws you off guard. If you're looking for a quality psychological thriller, you're in the right place. Our deep dive offers a great experience for fans of the author and those new to the genre because we are going straight into the deep end, spoilers and all, to see exactly how this story holds up under intense scrutiny.
It's true, you mentioned Thriller Queen, and yeah, the title is well-earned, I think, but maybe not in the way people expect, like high literary achievement. McFadden has pretty much cornered the market on what you could call the popcorn thriller. These are books designed to be, devoured quickly. They often rely almost entirely on huge, unforeshadowed shock value rather than subtle character work or even sometimes logical consistency.
Right. And that's our mission today, isn't it? We're diving into The Crash. It's framed as this desperate survival story. We really want to analyze whether that super fast-paced plot actually delivers. Are the twists satisfying? Or does chasing the shock end up sacrificing character depth and, basic sense?
Exactly. And The Crash is a perfect case study for that. It's framed as survival, which immediately grabs you. But it's also a great example of how character nuance and maybe logical steps can get sidelined for speed and those big jaw-drop moments.
Okay, let's unpack that niche she operates in first, because our source material really highlighted something interesting. Reader experiences with her books are all over the place. Some people love them, some really don't. Yet, like you said, they dominate bestseller lists. What's going on there?
Well, I think it really boils down to the experience versus, say, the quality of the writing itself. Our deep analysis, looking at the source material, it showed this perfectly. After going through several of her main books, I think it was 7 novels and a novella, the average rating from this particular reader, it landed at a pretty lukewarm 2.6 out of 5 stars.
2.6. That's really telling, isn't it?
It is. It puts her work squarely in that middle-of-the-road category. So not universally amazing, obviously. But crucially, not completely terrible either, on average.
Yeah, and that middle-of-the-road thing, I find that incredibly insightful. That feels like it speaks to this unspoken agreement she has with her readers. She's super popular precisely because her books are like the perfect easy breezy palate cleanser, right?
Exactly. The source used that exact phrase, easy breezy. It also said, reading one of her books is just a fun experience. It's disposable entertainment. You're not meant to take it too seriously.
And that speed, the disposability, that constant promise of what happens next, that seems key to why she's so dominant. It almost makes you forgive, or maybe just ignore, some of the flaws in how it's put together.
And The Crash leans into that right from the start. It's designed to maximize that immediate tension, the core premise. Textbook high-stakes opening. We meet Tegan, she's 23, 8 months pregnant, really struggling financially, and she's driving out to see her brother, Dennis. He's basically her only emotional support.
And boom, the setting immediately turns against her. She drives straight into this awful blizzard, loses control.
Slams the car into a tree. Yeah. Car's wrecked. She's completely stuck, totally isolated.
It's not just suspense at that point, it's pure survival mode.
Yeah.
That kind of setup, it hooks any thriller reader instantly. High tension, life or death.
The clock is ticking, definitely, and the plot moves fast from there. She gets rescued by this guy, Hank, and the initial description of Hank is, it's classic thriller stuff. He's described as kind of scary.
Right. So immediately your alarm bells are ringing.
Yeah.
Is this guy the rescuer or is he actually the danger?
And the choice he makes next just ramps up that suspicion. Instead of trying to get her to a hospital, which would be tough in the blizzard, sure, he claims it's impossible and insists on taking her back to his house. Classic isolation move.
Okay, so at the house, she meets his wife, Polly, and Polly's supposedly a nurse, which, might seem comforting on the surface. Medical help, maybe?
A very superficial layer of comfort, yeah. But where they put Tegan, the basement, that immediately feels off. We find out it was renovated because Polly's elderly mother was sick and stayed down there before she died.
Ugh. Okay, so let's recap. Pregnant woman, broke, scared, stuck in a creepy basement, rescued by a scary guy and his nurse wife. The hook is definitely set.
Absolutely. But this is also the exact moment where our source material started having some major issues, like serious frustrations with the writing itself began right around here.
Okay. So the setup is great, tension's high, isolation's perfect. But the actual words on the page, or I guess in the year for the audiobook, they start to break the spell.
Precisely. Before we even get much further into the plot mechanics, we kind of have to address this critique about the medium. How you consume the book seems really important here.
Yeah, the source made a really specific point about that, didn't it?
It did, a very specific and honestly pretty critical observation. It argued that the book's quality is significantly better when you listen to the audiobook compared to actually reading it with your eyeballs.
That is such a fascinating distinction. It suggests the narrator's performance, the pacing, the tone, the emotion they injected, kind of papers over cracks in the writing. Cracks you definitely notice if you were just reading the text.
I think that's exactly it. It taps into how we process information. When you're reading visually, your brain is doing all the work processing words, structure, logic. If a sentence is clumsy or repetitive, it slows you down, pulls you out. An audiobook narrator, they handle a lot of that cognitive load for you.
Right. They smooth it out, they provide the emotion, the pace, sweeping you along so maybe you don't stumble over lines the source described as so poor and terrible in that first 25%.
Yeah, terrible was the word used. It's harsh, especially for such a popular author. But the examples given really show why the source felt that way. The style, particularly when it's Tegan's first-person perspective, got criticized for reading like the diary of a teenage girl. Lots of meandering thoughts, unnecessary tangents.
Okay, let's dig into those examples. The zipper one seems like a perfect illustration of that meandering.
Oh, it's a brilliant micro-example of the kind of clutter that just kills the pace you expect in a thriller opening. So Tegan's describing her situation, right? She focuses on her winter coat. Says it hangs open because it doesn't zip closed anymore.
Okay, simple enough description for someone 8 months pregnant. Makes sense.
But she doesn't stop there. That's the thing. The writing forces her into this weird little philosophical tangent about the zipper itself. She thinks something like, there's nothing functionally wrong with the zipper, although a broken zipper would be fairly consistent with the state of my life these days.
Okay, yeah, that adds absolutely nothing to the plot. Just this little detour into self-pity about her life being messy.
Exactly. And then, after all that pointless analysis of the zipper's mechanics and its symbolic meaning, she finally just says the obvious thing. No, the reason my coat doesn't close anymore is that it no longer fits over my distended belly. I am nearly 8 months pregnant.
Wow. So like a whole paragraph to basically say, I'm pregnant and my coat doesn't fit.
Pretty much. If you're reading that, you feel the drag. You want tension, speed, and you're getting zipper philosophy. An audiobook narrator might just breeze through that quickly, make it sound like natural stream of consciousness maybe. But on the page, it just feels clumsy.
And it wasn't just the internal thoughts, right? The source also pointed out issues with dialogue sounding off, like that conversation with the neighbor.
Oh yeah, that line was something else. I've heard that babies cry a lot. It's because they don't know how to speak yet.
Right. Who talks like that? Especially a 23-year-old who's about to have a baby. It sounds so robotic, almost like an alien trying to mimic human small talk.
It's incredibly clunky. Doesn't sound like a real person in a real situation. More like, I don't know, dialogue placeholder text. But maybe the most jarring example, the one that felt kind of insensitive, was that random comment about dementia.
Yeah. Explain that one again. Tegan's just struggling to remember something minor.
Right, like maybe where she put something or a small detail. She notes how frustrating that little memory lapse is. And then, out of absolutely nowhere, she adds, it must be terrible to have dementia.
Hold on. So she forgets her keys, and her immediate thought is this devastating neurological condition. That's a leap.
A huge leap. And the source flagged it as totally unnecessary and insensitive. It doesn't advance the plot. It doesn't make Tegan more complex or interesting. It just throws in this really serious illness as a quick comparison for a tiny frustration. It felt like a major stylistic misstep. Makes you wonder about the editing, you know? Was that meant to show a character flaw or just sloppy writing? The source definitely leaned towards sloppy writing.
Okay, so the first quarter sounds rough. Slow pace, weird tangents, awkward dialogue, even insensitive comments. But you mentioned things improve. There's a shift.
Yeah, thankfully. That seems to be the book's saving grace, according to the source. Around the 33% mark, something changes. And crucially, it coincides with a point of view change in the narrative. Suddenly, the writing apparently smooths itself out.
That makes sense. It's kind of a classic thriller thing, right? Once the plot really kicks into high gear with external action and high stakes, the focus shifts away from maybe weaker internal monologues or descriptions. The writing just needs to be functional, serve the plot machine.
Exactly. It settles into that standard popcorn thriller style. It stops being a distraction and starts just moving the story forward. You get rewarded for pushing through that initial rough patch.
Okay, good to know there's light at the end of the tunnel for the reader. But to really get why the plot ramps up, We need to go back to Tegan's situation before the crash. What drove her out onto that dangerous road?
Right, let's pivot back to her vulnerability, because it's key to understanding all the betrayals that come later. She's set up for maximum pressure. 23, 8 months pregnant, basically alone except for her brother Dennis, struggling financially, working tons of shifts at a grocery store.
And the pregnancy itself is the catalyst for the whole mess, isn't it? It came from a one-night stand with this guy Simon. Successful businessman, very married.
Yep. And Simon is desperate to keep it quiet. So he gets his lawyer, Gibson, to negotiate a hush money deal with Tegan.
Which, for Tegan, initially sounds like a lifeline, right? This money means security for her and the baby. A way out of poverty.
For sure. But there's another layer here the source pointed out. During these negotiations, Tegan and the lawyer, Jackson, they apparently started vibing.
Vibing, like flirting.
Yeah, flirting, connecting a bit.
Yeah.
Which is important because it sets up this potential emotional conflict later. It's not just business.
Okay, so negotiations are happening, maybe a little spark with the lawyer.
Yeah.
But then the day comes to actually sign the contract.
Yeah.
And everything blows up.
Totally blows up. Simon and Jackson arrive to finalize the deal, get the NDA signed, hand over the money. But when Tegan sees Simon again, something clicks. The source mentioned a sensory trigger a smell, and it unlocks these repressed memories.
Oh, wow. Okay, this is the first big twist then.
It's a major one, and it's dark. She realizes with absolute horror that she didn't just have a one-night stand, she was drugged and raped by Simon. That's why she couldn't remember it clearly before.
Oh my God, okay, so that changes everything. Forget the money.
Completely. Her moral compass just overrides her financial desperation. She refuses point blank to sign the contract, refuses the NDA, and she tells them she's going straight to the police.
Which is absolutely the right thing to do, but in this thriller context, it basically lights the fuse on a bomb.
Exactly. And this is where Jackson, the lawyer she was maybe vibing with, shows a really troubling side. He has a bad reaction. He gets pushy, desperately urging her to sign, reminding her they talked about this for weeks.
So his reaction basically confirms her worst fears. Now she doesn't trust either of them.
Right. She feels threatened by Simon, the rapist, and now Jackson, his enforcer. This perceived threat is what makes her panic. She makes that frantic decision to flee, jump in her car, and drive to Dennis's house for safety, which of course leads directly to the crash, the blizzard, and landing in Hank and Polly's basement.
Okay, which brings us right back to her being trapped. 4 days in that basement. And her fear is all focused on Hank, right? The scary rescuer.
Yeah, she only interacts with Polly, mostly. And she's constantly terrified of Hank, convinced he's the one holding her captive, maybe hurting Polly too.
And she sees bruises on Polly, which just confirms her theory, doesn't it? Hank must be abusive, dangerous. He's keeping them both prisoner.
It fits the narrative she's built in her head, fueled by fear and isolation, and Polly being there constantly, having resigned from her nursing job after some mysterious incident. It all adds to that feeling of being trapped by this couple.
This really plays into what the source said about McFadden's characters, sometimes lacking nuance, needing that suspension of disbelief. We're meant to think Hank's the bad guy because he looks scary and his wife has bruises. It's a trope.
It's total misdirection, relying on those surface-level assumptions. But then comes the mid-book reveal. The writing smoothed out, remember, so we get that crucial POV shift. We switch to Polly's perspective, and bam, the whole picture flips. Tegan's assumptions are completely wrong.
Okay, let's break down Polly's side of things. First, the bruises.
Not from Hank at all. They're from their awful neighbor, Mitch. Apparently, he's a drug abusive guy. Polly got hurt trying to protect Mitch's daughter, Sadie, from him.
So Hank isn't the monster. He's actually the good guy.
According to Polly's perspective, yeah. He's described as great, very loving, very nice, very supportive. The scary rescuer is actually the caring husband, stuck in this nightmare created by his wife's issues and their dangerous neighbor.
Okay, so if Hank's not the captor, then Polly. What's her motivation? Why keep Tegan locked in the basement?
This is where it gets tragic, but also, according to the source, maybe a bit shallow in its portrayal. Polly has been struggling deeply with infertility, a really painful, difficult situation.
Okay.
Combine that pain with her past trauma, this incident at her nursing job where she apparently refused to give up a baby she was caring for, which forced her to resign.
Okay, so the infertility plus this past incident involving a baby.
It seems to have created this dangerous psychological break. The core motive becomes clear. Polly wants Tegan's baby. She's rationalized it completely in her head, convinced herself Tegan is unfit, that the baby would be better off with her. And that's why she's intentionally keeping Tegan captive. She's waiting for the baby.
Wow, okay, that's a huge twist.
Yeah.
But it brings us back to that criticism about nuance, doesn't it?
Absolutely. The source was very clear on this. The way Polly's infertility and mental health struggles are presented feels very surface level, almost reductive. It basically boils down to, I desperately want a baby and can't have one, therefore I'm justified in kidnapping this pregnant woman and stealing her child.
Yeah, that feels thin, especially for such extreme actions. It uses a really serious, painful issue like infertility as just a quick plot device to explain kidnapping.
Exactly. A more nuanced story might have explored the process of her psychological breakdown, how the past trauma connected, how the obsession grew. Here, it felt more like the plot needed a villain, and Polly's trauma was the fastest way to make her one. It's functional for the thriller plot, but maybe not very satisfying or respectful to the issues involved.
It definitely reinforces that idea. Shock value and plot mechanics over deep, realistic character psychology.
Pretty much. It serves the immediate need of the twist. So now we know Polly is the real, though tragic, captor. And from here, the plot just accelerates into pure chaos. Double crosses, betrayals. It gets wild.
Right, this is where it shifts from survival thriller to just nonstop shocks. It kicks off when Tegan gets really sick, right? An infection.
Yeah, she becomes critically ill, and this forces Hank's hand. He's the good guy, remember? He realizes Polly's plan is insane. Tegan needs a real hospital now.
But Polly doesn't just let it, does she?
No way. When Hank tries to take Tegan, Polly completely loses it. Huge emotional manipulation, threatens suicide if he goes against her plan. It puts Hank in this impossible position.
Loyalty to his very sick wife versus, basic human decency in saving Tegan's life.
But the book uses this to make Hank even more sympathetic. He waits until Polly's gone, then sneaks Tegan out to the hospital. He apologizes to Tegan, explains how much Polly's struggling, and begs her not to tell anyone what happened, saying Polly's fundamentally a good person underneath it all.
And Tegan agrees, after being kidnapped.
She does. She knows Hank just saved her life. She sees how broken Polly is. So she chooses empathy, at least for Hank's sake. Focuses on recovery, not immediate revenge.
Okay, so Tegan's safe at the hospital, recovering.
Yeah.
But then everyone starts showing up. Her brother, Dennis.
Yep, Dennis arrives, acting like the super supportive brother. Says he was driving around frantically looking for her in the storm.
And the lawyer, Jackson, shows up too.
He does. And he's acting weird, according to the source.
Right.
Really pushing Tegan to talk about what happened, which just makes her suspicious of him all over again.
So we've got Dennis, the supportive brother. Jackson, the weird lawyer. But the immediate threat is Polly, right? She's not just going to let this go.
Nope. Polly is devastated that Hank took Tegan. She's terrified Tegan will spill everything now, so her motivation flips. She dresses up as a nurse, goes to the hospital, intending to kill Tegan before she can talk.
Wait, hold on. Kill her. Did she want the baby? Killing Tegan seems counterproductive to that goal, and incredibly risky for the baby, too.
See, this is another one of those plot leaps, isn't it? Character consistency kind of goes out the window for the sake of the next big shock. Her primary drive has to shift instantly from get the baby to save myself from prison. The risk to the baby becomes secondary to her own self-preservation. It's purely a plot convenience to set up the next scene. The author needs an attempted murder, so Polly has to become a would-be murderer.
Okay, so Polly the wannabe kidnapper is now Polly the wannabe murderer. She sneaks into the hospital room disguised as a nurse.
And just as she's about to do whatever she planned to do, we get the biggest twist, the one that apparently made the source reviewer literally gasp.
Okay, hit me with it.
Polly walks in, ready to kill Tegan, but she interrupts someone else who's already there, trying to kill Tegan.
Someone else is trying to kill Tegan. Who?
Dennis, her brother.
No, Dennis, the supportive brother, the only family she had left.
The very same. Polly walks in and finds Dennis actively tampering with Tegan's Sukati drip, trying to murder his own sister.
That is insane. So Polly, the original villain, ends up saving Tegan from Dennis.
In a completely unexpected twist, yes. Polly intervenes, stops Dennis, saves Tegan's life, and then manages to slip away in the confusion.
Wow. Okay, so Dennis gets caught, goes to prison, the tension breaks, but my brain is trying to process the why. Why would Dennis do that?
Right. The motivation reveal is where things get really questionable, according to the source. It feels like the most egregious leap in the whole book.
Okay, let's try to unpack Dennis's reasons. There were two, right? The first one was sort of standard thriller stuff.
Yeah, the first motive is greed. Turns out Dennis knew Simon, the guy who raped Tegan, and Dennis was trying to secure some big business deal with him. If Tegan went to the police and caused a scandal for Simon, Dennis's deal would be toast. So, kill the sister, save the deal. Classic, if cold-blooded.
Okay, greedy and opportunistic? Fine, I can almost buy that in a thriller context. But there was a second reason, wasn't there? Something much weirder.
Oh, much weirder, and way more unbelievable. This is the part that really stretches credulity. It's revealed Dennis didn't just try to kill her in the hospital. He also tampered with her carports before she drove into the blizzard. He wanted her to crash. He invited her out, knowing the storm was coming.
He set up the initial crash, too. Why? What possible reason could he have for that level of long-term, calculated malice?
Get ready for this. The backstory given is, years ago, Dennis was a promising skier. He got into a bad car accident himself while driving out to comfort Tegan after she had a breakup. That accident ruined his skiing career.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. He kind of blames her for the accident that ended his career. So 20 years later, he decides the solution is to sabotage her car and murder her via IV drip.
Wait, hold on. A 20-year-old skiing injury that he only kind of blames her for is the deep-seated motivation for multiple murder attempts on his sister. Seriously.
Seriously, that's the secondary motivation provided. It comes completely out of nowhere, no real foreshadowing, just dropped in at the end to try and justify his extreme actions.
Okay, that perfectly illustrates the source's main critique then. The twists are surprising because they make no logical sense based on what came before. They just happen.
You're shocked, but not in that satisfying, aha, the clues were there kind of way. It's more like, wait, what? That's the reason. It only works if you actively choose, as the source said, not caring to dissect it that much.
You just have to accept the absurdity and keep moving, because the plot is racing ahead.
Right. The sheer chaos is the point, not the coherence. If you stop and think, hang on, if Dennis hated her this much for 20 years, why was he her only emotional support? Why bother searching for her in the blizzard? The whole thing just falls apart. The speed is a deliberate distraction.
It's a wild ride, but maybe not a particularly well-built one.
Yeah.
Okay, so Dennis is the real big bad. Polly was the accidental savior. How does this all wrap up in the epilogue? The source called it messy.
Messy is a good word. It tries to tie things up, but often prioritizes a neat ending over believability. So the simple stuff first.
Okay.
Dennis goes to jail, obviously. Polly, despite attempting kidnapping and, planning to murder Tegan, she gets away with everything, scot-free.
Oh, Tegan just doesn't tell anyone.
Pretty much. She sticks to her promise to Hank, apparently. Doesn't reveal the full extent of what Polly did. Maybe feels Polly saved her life in the end. It's unclear, but Polly faces no consequences.
Okay. And what about Tegan and Jackson, the lawyer?
Oh, that gets wrapped up with a neat little bow. They start a relationship. They start raising the baby together.
Wow, that's fast. Considering he was pushing her to sign the NDA for her rapist just days before, that's quite the turnaround from suspicious lawyer to romantic partner and co-parent.
Exceptionally fast. It's a narrative shortcut, pure and simple. Gives Tegan her happy ending, whether it feels earned or logical or not. But the strangest, most morally gray resolution belongs to Hank and Polly. And it involves Mitch, the abusive neighbor.
Right. Hank went looking for Polly after the hospital incident.
And he ends up at Mitch's house. While he's there, he finds Mitch's daughter, Sadie, bruised again, confirms Mitch is still abusing her. And Hank just snaps.
Snaps how?
He takes justice into his own hands. Hank, the good guy, the loving husband. He kills Mitch.
He kills him.
Pushes him off the porch during the blizzard. Mitch falls, suffocates in the snow. Hank makes it look like a drinking accident. Vigilante justice. Removes the abuser permanently.
So let me get this straight. Dennis is a killer. Hank is now a killer. Polly is an attempted kidnapper and murderer who gets away with it. Jackson is the baby daddy. This is quite the cast of characters by the end.
It's a lot. But the final, most unbelievable part is the actual ending for Hank and Polly. In this bizarrely twisted happy ending, Hank and Polly adopt Sadie, the daughter of the man Hank just murdered.
They adopt her? Hold on. Didn't the book establish Polly couldn't adopt because of that incident at the hospital? Her past made her ineligible?
Yep. That's the final glaring inconsistency the source pointed out. The established rules of the story's own universe are just ignored for the ending. Somehow, Polly's problematic history vanishes, and this couple, one a secret murderer, the other an attempted kidnapper-murderer, are allowed to adopt this traumatized child.
Wow. So logic completely optional at this point.
Completely. It's all about achieving that specific emotional beat for Hank and Polly, rewarding them, giving them a family, regardless of whether it makes a lick of sense legally, psychologically, or based on the book's own prior setup.
And it circles back again to those serious themes. Infertility, mental illness, abuse just being used as plot fuel, not really explored.
Exactly. Polly's complex issues are reduced to want baby, steal baby, try to kill witness. There's no depth, no real grappling with the seriousness of it.
So summing it all up, this deep dive really confirms the source's overall take, doesn't it?
I think it does. That 3-star assessment feels spot on. It's entertaining, it's addictive, but it's fundamentally flawed. It's like a really trashy, bingeable Lifetime movie, not a high-quality, sophisticated thriller. The fact it was finished in one day speaks volumes. It's built for speed and addiction, not deep thought.
And that speed is the key, isn't it?
Uh-huh.
It prevents you from questioning the absurdity. You're thrown from crash to rape reveal to kidnapping to brother betrayal to vigilante murder so fast.
You just don't have time to stop and think, wait, a skiing accident, really? The author uses shock and pace as the primary tools to keep you hooked, even if the foundations are shaky.
So for you listening, the big takeaway here is really about knowing what you're getting into with an author like McFadden. Based on this analysis of The Crash, you're signing up for a wild ride, lots of unbelievable twists, and you absolutely need to suspend your disbelief, probably quite high.
Yeah, the writing is functional at best, the characters might lack depth, and the twists surprise you mainly because they often feel unearned, lacking that clever foreshadowing. It's about the thrill of what next, not the satisfaction of a well-crafted puzzle.
And that reliance on shock over substance, twists over character. It's really a hallmark of this specific, very popular style of thriller writing.
It is. It gives you that immediate rush that I can't believe that just happened feeling. But afterwards, you might be left scratching your head about the plot holes or the shallow treatment of serious issues. It really makes you think. How much inconsistency are you willing to overlook just for the thrill of being completely blindsided?
That is the perfect question to leave you with. It's that balance between pure entertainment and, well, critical substance.
Definitely something to consider about our own reading tastes.
What character or event surprised you the most in Freida McFadden's The Crash audiobook? I'm looking forward to your theories in the comments. Thanks for joining us. Feel free to let us know which book you'd like us to review next on The Deep Dive. See you again soon.